and addition. So, you have to try. I didn't say that I also have been doing that, but nonetheless, um, that's why there's another book written by Imam Ibn Qayyim, uh, which is known as uh, Al-Kitab, that the debate about these things, about Iman, Islam, and Ihsan. It is important for us to know this, right? So, any question? I mean, is it too much? If you understand from what is being said here, is it too much that you are, to complete the, as what the hadith is talking about, if you can still remain or practicing Islam, which is the pillars, till you die, there's no guarantee that you will be saved from hellfire, but you will enter paradise. Can you understand what is being said here? Please uh, open up and discuss, please. I want to hear from you. Hana, Sharifa, Iziana.
Yes, Ustaz.
Do you understand what I just said?
I do understand. Ustaz, does it mean, no matter how sinful, you will eventually go to heaven, correct or not? You will eventually go to
Yeah,
Jannah.
but you can't just say it that way unless if you have experience going to hell. Can you understand? Remember that there are other verses of the Quran Allah have warned us where He says, "Wala in shakartum la azidanakum, wala in kafartum inna azabi lashadid." Clearly mentioned, you are not able to bear His command. It's not something that you can compare. You tell me what are the most severe punishment that you can think of now. I want to hear from you.
Of course, it's nothing comparable.
Ah, so that's why we cannot take it very simple or very lightly to think that although the hadith mentioned there you will definitely go to paradise later, but you can't take it so lightly. You have go through the punishment. So it's, in other words, it's not safe. Why not? Why not? At the same time, practice what you call it, rukun iman. Can you understand?
Yes, Ustaz, I have a question.
Please.
You see, we live on earth maximum, 60, 70 years, and the sins that we do, but we will be punished for like millions of years. Why is that
Yeah.
so?
No
Why?
one knows how long, because
Hmm.
you got no reason to say that you are not warned.
It's like maybe it was a small lie, but the punishment is very severe there. Why is it so? If it's like,
Because yeah, I
hmm?
mean you're given a lot of. I mean you have been. Allah has facilitated us with so many things, isn't
Hmm.
it? Because of the that's the reason why if you remain as non-believers is even worse. You will permanently be in hell. But as a Muslim, you are given a grace period of trying your best to be better. Okay, all you need to be doing is always be wary of what is happening, or rather keep on. As I've been mentioning that, that's why Umar ibn Khattab said, you have to keep on doing the muhasabah. You keep on doing the check and balance, to see that did you put on enough effort. The struggle, in other words, the jihad, the striving, right? As long as we're still alive, we will have to go through this, and you will learn this this coming tomorrow. Yes, Thursday. It's
Allah.
very interesting, and every dialogue that whatever a human can think of has already been written in the Quran. Excuses or whatever, that. So it's very clearly here, if you talk about ihdinas siratal mustaqim, the straight path, it comprises of that three level. It has Islam. Islam, I already told you, is this is what sometimes for revert. That's why we have to make it clear to them. Islam is not just name because of you are Balkis, because of you are Huma, because you are Daniel or whatsoever. It's not holding that name, but you need to understand, whatever that you do, and tell me, why is it when it comes to act of worship, right? Human will always have reason to reason. Tell me why. Why is it that in the worldly matter you got no reason? See, whatever that comes, like if you're working in the office, if your boss send you for upgrading courses, grooming courses, whatever, you can't tell them, you cannot ignore, neither can you say, no, I'm not interested. Can you do that? Can
No.
or can?
Because of our desire, Ustaz, the
Yeah,
nafs.
but desire also can be tamed, right?
Yeah.
Uma?
Yes.
Desire can be tamed. You can't. The toughest one is to deal with the desire, not shaitan. Shaitan is an
Yeah.
outside creatures, that comes and whisper to you. But desire is part of you, so that's why you have to deal with it. You have to find means and ways, to ensure that you are able to suppress it. And you have to have the balance. I mean, in simple term, that you just need to have a balance in whatever you do. Simple. In the Prophet, in one of his saying, he said clearly, and I've been repeating this hadith many times. He says, "I'mal dunya ka'annaka ta'ishu abada." You see, imagine even. So it's not true if you think that the teaching of Islam is backdated. It is not advanced. It's not progressive. This is not the right of how you understand Islam. So in this hadith, you can see clearly, that it talks about, Prophet says that if when you are at work or when you are doing the social work, be it even you are just a staff of whatever, job that you are working, right? The Prophet says, be the best. Can you imagine? And of course, everyone go for that because you are able to see the reward. If you put on the effort of coming, you being punctual, right? You knew that you will get, like in Singapore, for those who work with the civil servant, right? You will get variable bonus. And normally they will see your performance. But you think that in Islam, in fact, it is even more broader than what you are getting. Allah made it clear in Surah, in the Quran, that Allah says, فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. The good deeds that you do, as small as an atom, as small as a mustard seed, is accountable. Allah will value it. So you must have knowledge, to weigh things. So that hadith says, "I'mal dunya ka'annaka ta'ishu abada." That is about hablu minan nas. That is your relation with what mankind or the human, And then wa amalu akharatuka ka'annaka tamutu ghadan. When it comes to prayer, Huma, is it too much to ask you? I tell you, if you have really studied fiqh ibadah, you know the prayer will only take you the most is 5 minutes. You agree?
Yes, but
The most is 5 minutes. So the question here, why is it so difficult to sneak out when you are working or whatever? Of course, I'm not teaching anything illegal here. I mean, I'm talking about common sense. You know, you have to use your intellect, you know, for you to find mean in ways. I don't know. I mean, I used to be working myself, so I can tell you that if you have really pleases your bosses, right? I'm sure your bosses will not bother about whatever that you're doing. That includes prayer. You know, but the problem with us, we are not we didn't reach the level of excellence in work, and then we expect you know to have so many reasoning that we are giving to our employer to say, hey, we are Muslim, we have to pray Zohar, we have to pray Asar. That is inappropriate. But what you need to be doing first is to go as far as you can be pleasing your employer, right? If your employer is pleased with you, I'm sure that they will not be hanging on your back. So this is what the Prophet said, does not add mali dunya ka'annaka ta'ishu abada. If you are working, be excellent in every field, you know, if you can. So don't get the teaching of Islam wrongly, you know, where many people think if you want to be thinking of the hereafter, then leave the world. No, no, no. If you are not safe in this world, you won't be safe in the next world. That's why the dua, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah. If Allah wants to just save you in the hereafter, then the dunya hasanah will not be there. And this dua is in the Quran. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina adzaban. Yes, you wanted to say something, Huma? Hello? Hello? Huma, you wanted to say something?
Assalamualaikum, Ustaz. Sorry. What is it, Ustaz? Can you repeat, please?
I said you wanted to say something just now?
Oh, no, no, no.
No.
Okay.
Okay, so
Thanks,
just remember, you know, go back again to this uh, chapter on Islam, Iman, and Ihsan. Clearly mentioned here, in this world, the straight path comprises 3 levels, okay, which is Islam, as I've been repeating again. This is what we have, most of us, like even some completed all the 5 pillars, right? Uh, and then Iman are the 6 article of faith, and Ihsan, you know. So here in this book, Sheikh Imam Ibn Rajab Al-Hanbali explained, because this is in hadith, you know, whereby he says whoever remain on the level of Islam until he dies will be saved from eternity in the hellfire, meaning you will only be saved from being in the hellfire forever. That's all what you're going to get because of you only completed the Rukun Islam. Scary, you know, scary. That's why I keep on repeating of going back to these 3 subjects: Islam, Iman, and Ihsan. And that is the book that I'm using, especially for the Marble High Club, which is in English. It is actually an excerpt from a Malay book, you know, it's been translated to English for that reason. And of course, there are other books that is English written that you can go into the learning of theology. And then for fiqh, you already knew the Maqasid. You can use that also by Imam Nawawi. All right. Then for Tasawwuf, you have Imam Ghazali. Imam Ghazali will go on to the moral, more to the inner dimension on how we practice. As you already know, some of this has been discussed on our class yesterday evening, about going into detail. If you read what was mentioned yesterday, imagine just to be doing the sunat wudu. That means after you take the ablution, immediately after that you pray. And that was why Bilal ibn Rabah radiallahu anhum, Bilal is the muazzin, remember? Who do the azan during the lifetime of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Prophet heard about his footstep can be heard in Jannah ahead of so many people. So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam questioned him, how come you get that kind of reward so grand? If you can remember, that was mentioned in yesterday's book. It's a hadith. Then Bilal the Rabbi said, it's due to because of that's what I did. After each wudu, I will do the sunat wudu prayer, and that's the reward that he get in Jannah, in the paradise. Can you imagine? Okay. So whoever remain on the level of iman, and this is what I've been repeating again. I said you need to synchronize it. As you are doing the Rukun Islam, synchronize it with Rukun Iman. And if you have done, I'm sure, like I said, there is no such thing as you have free time. All the time that is given to you and me, we have to utilize it for things that is beneficial, especially in the hereafter. That you will gain something. Because you can see the reward, what is being mentioned here. Whoever remain on the level of Iman until he dies will be prevented from entering the fire altogether. Can you imagine? So if you die with Iman, you will be prevented. Because if you die with Islam only, well, anyone can put on a show, isn't it? Hello? Can I hear some comment? Agree? If you were to just be doing the Islam, right? You can just put on a show. What is so difficult of praying 5 times a day? What is so difficult of what you call it, fasting, fitrah, and what is so difficult to go? I think some of you have already went with me for the minor pilgrimage, the Umrah. Because Haji is because of the it's quite costly now, so maybe it takes time for many of us. So that's the reason why there, if you were to be doing that, of course, it is not just because of you have been doing the 5 pillars, right? It's not just because of you do, but you do without knowing. If you can understand where I'm coming from. Can you all understand?
No, I don't understand that part.
What part?
Your last sentence.
Okay, it's like you can just put on an action, right? You don't actually know whatever that you're doing. Can you understand that? Is that clearer, or you want more in detail?
Yeah, I think that's better.
An example will be like people pray, right? But people don't even bother to find out why there are different posture, or rather different raka'at in different prayer. Example, why there is, if you go by the numerals, right? Why there are 2 4 4 3 4? Why not 2 2 2 2 2 or 3 3 3 3 3 or 4 4 4? That's what it means then. Whatever that we do, it should be more in depth. I mean, if you put it in human terms, right? If I ask you to sing a Hindustani song, can you sing with feelings or not? What do you think? Can you cry? Like maybe when you watch the Hindustani movie, mostly women, they will cry. As if that they are the heroine. Why that happened? You tell me. Why? You're not the heroine. You're not in the movie, but why you cry? What does it mean? Explain, please. Hello? Is it
We
in your
cry because of the subtitle, Ustaz.
I'm sorry?
We cry because of the subtitles.
Subtitle of the movie.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but you are not part of the actress, right? You're not part of that movie. You know, movie. What does movie means? It's a movie, right? It's just a movie. It's not. You're not part of the. You know, the feeling. This is psychology. You know, this is us human being.
Maybe emotions, Ustaz.
Yes, I agree. So that's what I'm trying to make you understand. So when we pray, where is that emotion? Ah, now clearer. Can you understand?
Yes.
So this is what they meant here. You know, if you remain on the level of Islam until you die, you will be saved from eternity in the hellfire. Meaning you will go to hellfire first, you know. But you will be saved because you practice lah. Pray what? Right. Concentrate or not concentrate, focus or not focus, it doesn't matter lah. As long as I pray. Right. But then the pray becomes play, you don't worry about that. It's scary, you know, if you were to think of it. Okay? But you can see the difference. But if we remain on the level of Iman until he dies, he will be prevented from entering the fire altogether from the light of faith, because of the light of faith, right? Remember, I told you that faith is a nur, light is a light. You know, faith is a light, so it will extinguishes the blaze of fire to such an extent that the fire will speak and tell you, oh believer, go on your way. Go on your way. Your light has extinguished my blaze. And this is actually where the command to Ibrahim alayhi salam, right, to the point that the fire itself will raise a hue and cry at its coolness, as we know the command Allah mentioned in the Quran, you know, Qulna ya naru kuni bardan wa salaman ala Ibrahim. Allah command the fire, don't touch Ibrahim. And the cool there cannot be too cool, otherwise he will freeze to death also. You know? So this is what we need to remember. Can you understand? Can I move on? Hello?
Yes, Ustaz, move on, please. Go on, please.
So the authentic hadith mentioned on the next page, when the people of paradise enter paradise, a caller will announce. And this is, we know the names of the angel of paradise, is the Ridwan, who's looking after the door of paradise. People of paradise, the call of paradise call, Allah has given you a promise which he wishes to fulfill. You know, this is like you're in the ballroom, the angel will make this announcement. He'll call you and say, people of paradise, Allah has given you a promise which he wishes to fulfill. And then the people of paradise will say, what is that? Has he not made our faces white? This is, if you have the iman, all this will come in place. Okay? Has he not made our scale heavy? Has he not granted us entry in paradise and save us from fire? So he will remove the veil and they will look on at him and by Allah. He will not have granted them anything more beloved to them than this. And there will be nothing that give more pleasure to their eyes than this. This is the addition. Then he recited the above verse that I read just now. All the inhabitants of paradise will have a share of this vision, but they will differ as to their closeness when seeing Allah and in the number of times they see him. That one will differ. How long, how many times can you be seeing? And this is again I tell you, when you say Maliki Yawmiddin. So how you understood this Maliki mentioned in this chapter? So this is what is trying to tell us, that it will also differ on the reward of what when you get to see Allah Ta'ala. Okay? Understand?
Yes, Ustaz.
Ah. So we'll see him on the day of increase, which is the day of Jum'ah. Then this is again depend on how, I mean, for the brothers. And then, and the elite or the elite amongst them will look at the face of Allah twice a day. If you're among the elite group or the elite group, once in the morning and once in the evening. The generality of people of paradise have their provision given them twice a day. They have in the morning and the evening. Whereas, again, the elite group or the elite group see him in the morning and the evening. So neither places can make the Gnostic forget their beloved, and nor can running rivers quench their thirst. One of them used to say, when I am hungry, remembrance of him is my food. And when I am thirsty, witnessing him is my wish and gratification. This is exactly all these things you have done in this world, isn't it? So one of the righteous was seen in a dream, and he was asked about the condition of two scholars, to which he replied, at this time I have left them before Allah, mighty and magnificent, eating, drinking, enjoying bliss. He was asked, what of you? Okay. So there's a footnote below mentioning about the earlier hadith as from Tabarani, and on the authority of Anas bin Malik, then Haytami book volume 2 page 164 said that the isnad is the chain contained in that hadith that was read to you earlier, is trustworthy and precise narration. And Ibn Abi Iza said sharp in his in Sharah. Sharah means elaboration of the hadith. In his book of Sharah Aqidah Al-Takhsiyah, page 213, said the nation is agreed that Allah will not be seen by anyone in this world. They did not differ over this except with regard our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam specifically. Then again in the Sharah Al-Imam Nawawi also, Hadith Muslim, as for seeing Allah exalted is he in this world, then we have previously mentioned that this is a possibility. However, the majority of the Salaf, the earlier generation and the later generation, both among the mutakallimin, the scholars of theologian, and others are of the opinion that it will not occur in this world. Okay, so there are again differences of opinion about whether you can see or you cannot see in this world. But the majority hold the stand that you can't see Allah with your physical eyes in this world. Then in the book of Khilbadi At-Ta'aruf Lil Mahzab At-Tasawuf, it's an Arabic book, page 43 said they have all agreed that he will not be seen in this world, not with the eyes nor the heart, except from the perspective of certainty, the yaqeen there. So this is because this seeing is from the greatest of blessing, and as such, is befitting that it occurred in the best of place. Now, if they were granted the vision, the greatest blessing in this world, there would be no distinction between it and paradise. Perhaps these words serve to clarify the meaning of the words of the author. May Allah have mercy upon him. So to continue what is being mentioned about these people who have been doing the righteous, about this righteous, they dreamt. So he replied, he knows my lack of desire for food. So instead, he allows me to look at him. This is most of the practice. Remember, you are encouraged to also be fasting after Ramadan, besides Shawwal. At least, according to Imam Ibn Rajab Al-Hanbali, he mentioned earlier, at least 1 month, 3 days, in order for you to understand what is being said here. So when I desire drink, you are my satiation, and when I desire food, you are my gratification. So that is the difference between us and these people. They don't actually go for the food that we, in every occasion, there will always be a food to many of us. So Imam Ahmad record the hadith on the authority of Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the people with the lowest ranking in paradise will look at his dominance for 2,000 years, seeing the furthest end of it as the sea has, he sees the nearest end of it, and he will look at this, will look at his wife and servants. The one with the highest ranking will look at the face of Allah. Blessed and exalted is he twice a day. So this hadith was also recorded by Al-Imam Tirmidhi with the wording, the person with the lowest ranking in paradise will be one who will look at his garden, wife, blessing, servants, couch, for the journey of 1,000 years. And the best of them with Allah will look at his face morning and evening. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam recited the verses of the Quran, Wujuhu yawma izin nadira ila rabbiha nazira. It's in the Quran, Surah Qiyamah, chapter 75, verse 22 and 22. Okay. That day will faces be resplendent, looking towards their Lord. Okay. And it is because of this that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in the authentic hadith reported on the authority of Jarir ibn Abdullah al-Bajali, which means you will see your Lord on the day of judgment like you see the moon on a night when it is full. You will have no difficulties in seeing him. He then said, so if you are able not to be overwhelmed to the point of missing a prayer before the rising of the sun and before its setting, then do so. Then he recited the verse, وَسَبِّهِ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ قَبْلَ طُلُوعِ الشَّمْسِ وَقَبْلَ غُرُوبِ, and glorify your Lord on the while praising him and before the rising of the sun and before its setting. Wallahu a'lam bishawab. Any question before I continue? Or should I continue?
Continue, Ustaz.
Continue.
So the period of morning and evening in paradise, these two periods are reversed. Are reserved for looking at Allah. With respect to the elite or to the elite group, and in this world, he sallallahu alaihi wasallam encouraged the preservation of prayer at these two times, right? Therefore, whoever prays these two prayers in this world in the best of ways, so this word with submissiveness is tawhid, actually, is iman. Okay, the presence of the heart again with iman. The performing of all its mannerism is also with tawhid there. So it is hoped that he will be of those who will see Allah at these two periods in paradise. if you have done the prayer in this world, right? The best way, with submissiveness, with the presence of your heart, and performing. This is what I meant earlier for the questioner that asked me just now. I'm referring to the Rukun Islam. If you do, you will find that all these missing parts here, isn't it? Most of us, we didn't do the best way on how we do our prayer, right? And it's without submissiveness. It's like you're dragging yourself to the praying mat, isn't it? And worse still, when you are there, there's no presence of your heart. Your heart is not with you. You're thinking of something else and this and that, isn't it? And performing of all this mannerism also is without manners. And you didn't hope that, you know, you will be of those who will see Allah at these two periods in paradise, because you don't know, you have no knowledge of these things. You agree with me? Hello, hello?
Yes.
Ah. So this is more so if one holds fast to the remembrance and other types of worship until the sun rises or sets. So if the servant add to this journey in the last part of the night, then he has journey in all three times. The end of the night, the morning, and the evening. This was mentioned by Imam Ibn Rajab earlier. Remember about the three prayers? Where he asked you to do in congregation. If you cannot be doing the night prayers, put on an effort to do Isha in congregation. If you do Isha in congregation, it's like that you have done the night prayer. Okay? So this is actually something that I think the modern people, we need this kind of recommendation. We will have to look for alternatives. Otherwise, if you want to show that you are able to wake up for the night and tomorrow morning you walk sideways, or you fell, or you sleep in the bus and then you overshot, you didn't you take the train and you get, these things all will happen, isn't it? So why burden yourself with this kind of thing where you have uh, other means of doing it, by doing the Isha prayer together. If you're not married, if you don't have anybody at home. Now remember, if you have children also, praying with your children is considered as already in a congregation. Okay, whatever that after, the first one and the second one is already considered as a congregation. So you has journey in all three times. That means you have journey the end of the night, the morning, and the evening. And if if he is true, for sure, this will be followed by the achievement of the greatest objective, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Surah Al-Qamar, verse 55, fi maq'adi sidiqin inda malikin muqtadin, in an assembly of truth, in the presence of your sovereign omnipotent. So whoever adhere resolutely to the truthfulness in his journey will be led to sure footing. As again the Quran mentioned here, وَبَشِرِ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَنَّ لَهُمْ قَدَّمَ صِدْقٍ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِ, and bring unto those who believe the good tidings that they have sure footing with their Lord. Surah Yunus, verse 2. Right? So any questions so far?
Yes, Ustaz.
Yes, please.
What is the meaning of that surah, in an assembly of truth, in the presence of sovereign omnipotent? Can you explain the sovereign
Assembly of truth. Yeah, meaning like it's referring that you are in the assembly of Allah is there. Allah is there. In an assembly of truth. In the presence of Allah.
Okay.
Right?
Thank you.
Thank you, Asha. So here, the lover is always asking after his beloved, isn't it? So this is what I meant, but I'm trying to make you understand. I hope you don't feel pressure by what I'm sharing tonight, okay? Don't feel pressure. This is knowledge. right? This is just to expose so that we will, use our intellect to ponder upon, are we doing the right thing? Even the Rukun Islam just now. So this is what they are explaining. The lover is always asking after his beloved. So this is what I meant again about Rukun Iman. Remember, Aman to Billah is the first, right? Believe in Allah. So if you have really know him, you should be falling in love with him, right? And you should be asking about him almost every time. That's why in Islam, in the Deen and Allah Islam, Deen cannot be translated as a religion, but is a way of life. So this way of life, it has the lowest part of whatever that we do in this world, right? We are always remembering him. Remember, the first thing that we are taught, right? The moment you wake up from sleep, you are to first thank him, remember him, Alhamdulillah alladhi ahyana ba'da amatana wa ilayhi nushur, right? And then as you go to the bathroom, again you remember him, entering with your left leg and then reciting Allahumma inni a'udzubika minal khubuthi wal khaba'ith. And then as you look yourself in the mirror, when you want to brush your teeth to see you have that whitening teeth, and then again you recited Allahumma asatana khalqi fahasin khuluq. If you have eased yourself and as you exit the restroom, you recite it again, Alhamdulillah alladhi ghufranak, and so on and so forth. This is what they are trying to explain here. If you really love your beloved, right, you should be asking. You should be asking about him. Sometimes it's so sad, we have lost our loved one. Yeah, the very most people will still be asking is like maybe 1 or 2 years after death, right? After like 10 or 20 or 15 years, I don't think so you will be asking any question about, hey, what happened? Right? So there's a question. So basically, those who put efforts in Subuh and Asar can have exclusive time with Allah in paradise. Yes, inshallah, if you have done accordingly. I mean, if you follow what is being said here, it's not just, doing without knowing. Okay? And this should develop as time goes by. It doesn't mean that today you study and tomorrow you start being crazy of Allah Ta'ala. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay? You just need to always be remembering, that, the lover is always asking after his beloved, inquiring about any news concerning him, isn't it? And then eliciting any small piece of information and following his track in order to traverse the path that leads to him. I mean, like I said, right, if you have been doing the Rukun Islam, I don't think so you will be worrying about that. Right? Hello, hello?
No.
Hello, hello.
Is it me?
Of course, we worry about death, Ustaz.
I'm sorry?
Of course, we worry about death, whether our...
You don't have to. You are looking forward to die. Isn't it? Hey, hello. You remember that if you fall in love with someone, right, you will go after that person, isn't it? Or that person will go after you because just to show you, I love you. What?
True.
Right.
So that's a physical being.
Huh?
That is a physical being, but this one is like, that's the Almighty you're talking about.
Why not? It's even easier because he's the provider of everything. And the physical being is useless. It's only temporary, isn't it?
Correct.
I love you, you love me only. When the love becomes love, then that's it. Kan? Then I chain you lah. So be careful, remember this thing. So I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but Hannah, you have to put more effort to go deeper in the study of whatever the religion teaches. then you can understand what is being said here. We have to try. So, and Allah had made it very clear. Again, I repeated these Quranic verses many times. Allah had made it very clear to us. You won't be able to go near him or love him if you did not follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that is the reason why the scholars, the earlier generation, they even, leave behind litanies like Rajab Al-Haddad, Rajab Al-Atas, Maulid Al-Tibai. This is to actually revive, to make us, because it becomes something that is very challenging for modern people, because you will only believe you have been brought into this world clinging on to the verse where it says seeing is believing. So you don't see, you don't want to believe, right? So that's why you have to do zikir, and in order for you to understand and to get this Allah Ta'ala love, as I mentioned to you. Allah made it very clear to tell us, in chapter 3, verse 31 of the Quran, Qul in kuntum tuhibbun Allah, fattabi'uni yuhibbukum Allah, wa yaghfir lakum dhunubakum, wallahu ghafurur rahim. Very clearly mentioned in this verse. If you want to love me, Allah said, love Muhammad bin Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I will love you. So this is why we need to study, because if you talk about getting nearness to Allah Ta'ala, there is no way that you are able to do so without the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Remember the Prophet, when during his lifetime, they were checking and asking Aisha radiallahu anha about Muhammad. So when she replied to say kana khuluqul Quran, his character is the Quran. What she meant here, whatever is being wrote in the Quran, whatever the command is in the Quran, it is being applied, or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam represent the blueprint. He put it into practice. Okay, so you have to learn from him, and of course we don't get to meet up with him, but that's where the role of in hadith is very important. We have to study to understand, and to name a few books that you can raise a shirt is okay, will be like Riyadus Salihin. These are all books written by Imam Nawawi rahimahullah alayh. You can, they have compiled that book. Riyadus Salihin is talking about Riyadh in Arabic is referring like garden of paradise. So this is garden of the Salih, all the righteous people. Like you go to Medina, then you have what they call it Rawdah. Rawdah is the same. It's like you are seated in the Rawdah to Jannah. You are seated in the garden of the bliss. That's why sometimes you see it's not easy to go to that area. So many people rushing, and there can even be a fight to go and just sit there in that Rawdah. So here, the following his track in order to traverse the path that leads to him, you have to follow the Prophet. So here it is being said, O seekers after her, is there anyone who can answer me? For after our time together, I know of no other felicity, where I only to know where her family have pitched tent, to which of Allah's land have they wandered? Have they wandered to? We would have rushed after her as does the wind, seeking this felicity even if it be beyond the stars. This is trying to make us understand if we really can raise up to the level of falling in love. Remember, I told you that there is a dua that normally read in funeral, you know, where actually you can be reading the dua also, where you seek Allah Ta'ala to allow you to be with Allahumma ja'alna ma'al lazina minan nabiyyin wa siddiqin wa shuhada wa salihin. Remember, you seek to ask Allah so that even when we die, put us among these groups. So according to the source, right? Actually, when you are in love with Allah Ta'ala, you will be among those people who love Him too. That's what it means. So you can see here it's mentioned, great indeed is the aspiration whose goal is Allah, and noble indeed is the soul whose beloved is He. That means you love Allah. So here Allah Himself said in the Quran in chapter 6 verse 52, وَلَا تَطْرُدِ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَدَاوَةِ وَالْعَاشِيَةِ يُرِيدُونَ وَجْهَهُ. Repel not those who call upon their Lord at morning and evening, seeking His face. Meaning, the prayer that you're doing, right? You were hoping that you get that privilege of seeing Him more than anyone else. What has the lover to do, right? Save the pursuit of His love, isn't it? If you said, did you love Him? So this is what I'm trying to make you understand from the very beginning of today's chapter, right? To try and, as you are doing the Rukun Islam, make sure it's synchronized with the Rukun Iman, and then you will get all these things that we are reading now. What has the lover to do? Save the pursuit of his love. In every land, the lover roam as one delirious, right? Clear? Can I continue, or you want to ask questions?
And continue, Ustaz.
Okay, we move on to the next chapter, 6.2, that discuss about those who hold to the world and those who hold on to the hereafter. So the worth of every man, the worth of every man is judged by what he seeks. See, beautiful. So how worth it you are, it depends on what you are seeking for. Okay? None can put a value to one who seeks Allah. If you are seeking for Allah, you can't value it, for this is immeasurable. The one seek after the world is too lowly to be valued. You see, this is in us, isn't it? We keep on still hunting for bigger houses. I didn't say anything wrong with that. I didn't say that. Okay? What I'm trying to say is you have to strike a balance. Okay? You have to strike a balance. And if you are smart enough, according to the Prophet ﷺ, you should forego the world. You will not be a loser if you forego the world. Because the real world that Allah has created for us will be in the hereafter. Okay? The one who seeks after the world is too lowly. That's what it says here. It's too low because actually it's filthy everywhere you go today, especially in today's context. Ya Allah, I'm telling you, those people who are long gone, they are very safe, for whatever. So Shibli said, and Imam Shibli said, whoever holds fast to this world will be burned by its blaze until he becomes ashes blown out by the wind. Can you imagine? Whoever holds on to the hereafter will be burned by its lights, such that he becomes pure gold of highest quality and is benefited from. So whoever holds on to Allah will be burned again by the light of Tawheed, and will come a jewel that is beyond value. So choose. He has ambition, the greatest of which is illimitable, illimitable, the least of which time itself finds untouchable. Sometimes they say they are poets, and they like to be, whatever they say, sometimes they add in some poets, to make it more um, deeper meaning. So Ashibli again was asked, will the lover ever gain satisfaction from something from his beloved before witnessing him? Then he replied with the couplets. He said here, by Allah, were you to crown me with the crown of Khosrows, king of Orient, and before me the wealth of creation presence, the wealth of those today and those of old, but we shall not meet for a time. I am told to our meeting, my master, would I gladly assent. Whoever ambition is great will only ever be content with seeking Allah, glorious and exalted is He. Then this is what they said in the couplet. My every journey to and fro, morning and evening, and so to remembrance of you is my very breath of life. A refreshing breeze and soothing quietude. You are my ambition and my Lord, my objective and my success, of source of my succor and refuge. Keep me guided aright and correct me. They like to have this kind of couplets. Sorry. Understand? Any question before I move on? Silent means no lah. Now we go into the unexpected confrontation. Again, Allah reminded us here in the Quran, Surah Az-Zumar, chapter 39, verse 47. وَبَدَى لَهُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَمْ يَكُونُوا يَحْتَسِبُونَ. And there will appear unto them from their Lord that wherewith they never reckoned. Now this verse bore down heavily upon the fearful Gnostic, for it state that some servant, when they meet Allah, will be confronted with things that they never expected. For example, he could be unaware of what his hands have wrought, right? Not paying it any attention. Then when his covering is lifted, he will see these terrible matters. Can you imagine if you were to steal, if you were to be using your hand to beat people and this and that? So this is what they mean by sometimes you will have this kind of confrontation when you meet Allah, the unexpected confrontation. So they're just giving one here about the hand, whatever that we do. So we think that even using it to be beating our children and this and that, you don't give attention to it, isn't it? But then when Allah lifted the veil, because most of these things cannot be seen until we are there, and that is provided Allah lifted the veil. Then you will see these terrible matters and have things confront him that he never catered for. And this is why Umar radiallahu anhu said, if I had the dominion of the whole earth, I would gladly ransom it to save me from the terror of unveiling. Hadith mentioned that is hope not for death, for the terror of the unwilling is great. And it is again from felicity of a person that Allah grant him long life and nourish him with penitence. One of the sage among the Salaf said, how many occasions of sorrow will one face on the day of judgment that did not even cross his mind? Where because we don't understand the language that is being used in the Quran, and I don't know if you want to be giving excuses to say you don't know, where actually the scholars has put on all kind of effort, to make sure that you and me, we can understand. You don't have to be like mastering Arabic, but at least you know the literal meaning as what you can see even written in this book. So what happened here, the sage among the Salaf said, how many occasions of sorrow will one face on the day of judgment that he did not even cross his mind? And that is the reason why, again, I keep on reminding you, like, whatever suffering that you're going through, brothers and sisters in Islam, as you can see now, no one crosses 90 and above. Even if they reach between 80 and 90, already they become senile, they are so weak, and they are just with flesh and bone. Right. So in this verse, Allah said, in this vein, Allah exalted says, لَقَدْ كُنْتَ فِي غَلْفَةٍ فِي غَفْلَةٍ مِنْ هَذَا فَكَشَفْنَا عَنْكَ غطاءك فبصرك يوم حديث. You were in the heedlessness of this, isn't it? Most of us. Huh? Hello, don't want to admit lah. Hello.
Ustaz.
Huh? What? The Quran is telling us, because of most of us are heedlessness of this. Now we have removed from your covering from you, and piercing is your sight this day. Then only you get to see. So many of us will actually regret when we are up there. Of course, it's too late, if you are up there, it's too late. So be careful, be careful. So the type of action that will be as scattered dust, as we know, the Quran tells us, right? Remember? The types of action that will be scattered dust. The first one, comprising something more general that previously mentioned, and that is one having deeds from which he hopes good, but they end up scattered dust and are altered to evil deeds. Okay, it's not my statement. It is coming from Allah Himself telling us that there are people who do the general act of worship, and that is doing deeds, and they only hope, because most of us have been doing, right? We just bang on hope without knowledge. I already mentioned to you, hope in Arabic is raja. You have to have hope with knowledge, not just hope and expect that everything is going to be just fine. No. It doesn't work that way. Which this hope will end up scattered dust. Because it's scary, if you've been doing the good things, you think that you've been doing the good thing, but then in the end it becomes scattered dust. So Allah mentioned here, وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَمَالُهُمْ كَسَرَبِ بِكِعَاتِ يَحْسَبُ ظَمْآنُ مَاءً حَتَّى إِذَا جَاءَ Mulam ma'lum yajidu syai'an wa wajadallahu indahu fawaffahu hisabahu wallahu syari'ul hisab. Sadaqallahu alaihi. Allah state here, and as for those who disbelieve, if those who are heedless, their deeds are has a mirage in the desert. And this is again, I've been repeating also to be, asking that you have to have, an understanding of whatever that you're doing, in order so that it will not become a mirage in the like a mirage in the desert. The thirsty one thinks it to be water till he comes to it and find it's not, and find in the place thereof. Allah will pay him his due, and Allah is sweet at reckoning. And the only one that knows whether you are doing it right and wrong is yourself and Allah, no one else. If you have been studying and applied and understood Islam accordingly, then you can rest assured that these things won't happen. In another verse, Allah mentioned, وَقَدِمْنَا إِلَى مَا عَمِلُوا مِنْ عَمَلٍ فَجَعَلْنَاهُ هَبَاءُ mansura. And we shall turn onto the work they did and make it scattered moths. This is what happened. Imagine you put on all. I think very common also, you have heard the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that many people think that they are fasting and hoping that they will get a reward from their fasting, where actually the Prophet says they didn't actually get anything except just thirsty and hungry. So we got to be very careful of all this. Then Fudail Rahimullah said concerning this verse, and there will appear unto them from their Lord that wherewith they never reckon. They work deeds thinking them to be good, when in reality they were actually evil. So this is what I meant earlier. Because this is cannot based on presumption and assumption. Like normally we claim that we are doing good, but nobody asks question whether that good that you claim is good is coming from Allah and the Prophet. Or is it you yourself say that you're doing the good thing? Fine, if you want to make that profession by yourself, by all means. But you will know later when you die. So they work deeds thinking them to be good, when in reality they were actually evil. Be careful of this. That is the first one. The second one, close to the above, a servant commit an evil deed to which he pays no regard. This one is commit sin, but you don't care. Thinking it insignificant, and that sin will be the cause of his perdition, has Allah mentioned again in the Quran. وَتَحْسَبُونَهُ هَيِّنًا وَهُوَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ الْعَظِيمِ. You counted it a trifle, but in the sight of Allah, it is very great. One of the companions, radiallahu anhum, said, you are doing deeds that are in your eyes more insignificant than a hair. So generally, this is what happened to many of us. Because the only issue here is because you don't want to find out. You don't want to come to class. You can be giving all kinds of excuses in this world, but you will have to answer for the excuses in the hereafter. Because nobody can say anything about whatever you say. So whereas at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, we would consider them to be destructive sin. And the third one is worse than the previous case, one to whom the evil of his conduct seems pleasing. as Allah mentioned here in the Quran. There's so many verses of the Quran that it comes with a questionnaire. I mean, Allah posed a question like, you know, Kul hal nuba what? Kul hal nubaiukum bil akhsarin amalan allazina dhalla sa'yuhum fil hayatid dunya wa hum yahsabu annahum yuhsinun sun'an, which means that Allah say, shall we inform you who will be the greatest loser by their work? Those whose efforts go astray in the life of the world, and yet they reckon that they do good work. Because this is what I meant by in Singapore context, try your best to choose, as I mentioned to you the hadith, khairul umur awsatuha, moderation. And moderation itself, it has three things that you know, right? You have to be balanced in whatever you do. You have to be excellent, and you have to be just. So all these require knowledge to define. It's not that you understood in your own version and that's it. This is common. Normally, you will hear this kind of question in most classes. As much as we seek to Allah, however, we make mistake or sin in between. How do we replace or do in order for Allah to forgive us immediately? You have to read the book of Minhajul Abidin, or you have to learn on how to repent, or what is known as Taubatan Nasuha. Because Allah commands us, Tubu ilallah, Taubatan Nasuha. If you want to repent, repent sincerely. Okay, if you have done that, inshallah. But this has to come with knowledge, as I told you, because many people say they repent. Actually, they are not repenting, they are just stopping. Stop for a while, too tired already. Don't want to go disco already, don't want to go to this, don't want to be doing that, don't want to be doing this. They are actually stopping for a moment, especially now for the COVID, actually totally will stop you from going and doing anything, isn't it? So you see, there's also wisdom as to why this COVID comes. At least we learn a lesson. So to answer that question, it's just that you have to learn how to do tawbah. I mean, how to repent. If you have repent accordingly, inshallah, you will be forgiven. So Al-Imam Ibn Uyayna, radiallahu, said, when death comes to Muhammad Ibn al-Muqaddir, he became apprehensive. And so the people summoned Abu Hazm, and he came. Ibn al-Muqaddir said to him, Allah says, and there will appear unto them from their Lord that wherewith they never reckoned. This is scary. Like if only, that's why the Prophet ﷺ says, "Law ta'lamuna ma'alamun." If, actually he warned us in this hadith, he warned us, "Law ta'lamuna ma'alamun" means to say that it's best for you not to know, not to see what I see and what I know. Likewise, he said, what will happen? "Law ta'lamuna ma'alamun la dahittum qalilan wa ma bakaitum kathiran." There will be no laughter in your life. If you were to see and if you were to know what the Prophet ﷺ can see and what he knew, you can't sleep. Okay? So this is where you have to learn to boost up your knowledge and your trust in Allah Ta'ala. Allah is capable of doing the impossible. And some of these things you can't use your physical mind to understand. An example about the questioning in the graveyard. You can't use your physical mind. You will not have an answer, and If you are a people of science, you will reject and say, nonsense. They have done the exhumation. You see nothing in the graveyard. You don't see Munkar and Nankir in the graveyard, right? This is what happens if you use uh, your intelligence. Because anything to do with Tawheed, you cannot use your mind. You use your iman. I repeat, anything to do with theology, right? The unseen, you cannot use logic. You have to use your iman. You have to believe in what Allah said. Okay? So there's a question again. We'll start as much as we seek to, okay, the same question. As much as we seek to Allah, however, we make mistake and sin in between. How? So how do we replace or do in order for Allah to forgive us? This one, like I said just now, you have to read in the book of Minhajul Abidin. It explains, that's why you need to first recognize sin is like with these two. As long as if the sin against Allah, you already have three things. Sins against Allah means you transgress Allah's command. Allah asks you to do this, you don't want to do. One, right? You challenge. He says this is prohibited. You want to be doing those things that he prohibit you. Second, thirdly is you transgress against the bounty that he gave you. So this is talking about sins against Allah. But the one that normally we have very lengthy is among the fellow human beings. This is where you need to learn. Because among the fellow human beings can be seen about, backbiting, stealing, or you hurt somebody spilling and this and that. That is very lengthy. Okay? That one you have to I think tomorrow is a very interesting topic. I do hope and pray everyone can be present to hear what are the evil thing, how Shaitan will tell you, hey, I didn't ask you to do, I didn't ask you to drink beer, no, I didn't, I only whisper. Why you upset? Why you do? You see, Shaitan will deny everything, whatever that we did. So this one I will share with you tomorrow. Hopefully that you can make time to be listening. So here, let me finish this, and then we will give you time for question and answer if there is. And I fear that things will become clear to me and confront me that I never expected. Then both of them broke down in tears. This is all great people, the companion of the Prophet. Recorded by Ibn Abi Hatim and Ibn Abi Adunya in his report to say, so his family said, we call you that you may console him, but you have only increased his apprehension. He then told them of what he has said. So Fudil ibn Iyad rahimahullah said, I have been informed that it was said to Sulaiman At-Taimi, you who is there like you, he said, quiet. Do not say this. I do not know what will appear before me from Allah. I have heard Allah saying, and there will appear unto them from their Lord that wherewith they never reckon. Things that you didn't expect. Okay? Shall we finish the fourth one or shall we stop? Because the fourth, there's still more.
Ustaz,
Yes,
I have questions.
please.
Can you give us examples of all the examples of the first and the second and the third? I mean, the first is very easy to understand, but what is an example of the first example of a type of action that will be scattered as dust?
It can be anything, Asha. I mean, it's something that is not being specifically mentioned in this hadith, because this is the translation of the Quran that Allah warned us. Normally, I don't know. I mean, as human being, we don't record everything with whatever that we did, isn't it? We
Yeah.
take things for granted to think that I'm doing just fine. And I try to share, I think, to some of the students also, uh, like example, like when you say that you're doing good, right? That good, who say that? Can you understand, Asha? When
So
you
we
say that you're
cannot.
doing good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's the one who acknowledges that good? Who's the one that say good? It's generally we are the one, right? So that's why
Yeah.
the Quran is telling us here, you shall turn onto the work they did and make it scattered mouth. Meaning, like you, this is warning us that don't take things for granted that because in the Quran, in other verses, we already knew Allah made it very clear, right? To tell
Mm.
us, فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. The good deeds and the bad deeds, right? You are accountable for it.
Mm.
In that. So that's why when we want to be doing good, right? That we call it good, it has to come from either the Quran or the Sunnah, or whatever how the scholars have taught us. Now, let me give you another more clearer example. Will be many Muslim, right? You may have heard that they think that they are safe because they have been doing like that's why this chapter discuss about what I'm trying to share with most of the class. I try to share and make them make everyone understand that don't just do the practice what without knowledge. So many of us think that I have done the prayer. I mean, you may have heard this, right? There are maybe friends who you call it close friend, right? Who came to you and say, Asha, no, I have testified the declaration of faith. I have done my salah, alhamdulillah, and then I have passed and I have given my zakat fitrah and I went for Hajj. I'm safe.
Mm.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah, but it's not for you to decide. You cannot be the judge of your actions.
It's not
Allah is the judge.
about they judging, but they blindly understood that they had done good.
Right.
That's why this chapter, the first part, it tells about if you were to be practicing just Rukun Islam, you will not save from hellfire. Because
Okay.
establishing all those 5 pillars, right, you need to have knowledge also, which, like I said, we didn't ask,
Mm.
right? We didn't bother to ask. So that's why the first part, it explained about that. And then close to the second one is servant commit an evil deed. You're doing something, but then you take it like, never mind lah, Allah very merciful you. Don't worry.
Oh, ni macam bohong sunat ah.
Yeah, that is thinking it as something that is insignificant, but then in the eyes of the Quran, in the eyes of Allah, you are counted as triple, right? That's
Right.
what they use, right? You counted
Okay, this is the second one.
triple, but in the sight of Allah. So this is the problem, That's why in Islam, you have to have knowledge in whatever that you do. It can be very simple. I've met people who claim and tell me that I'm doing just fine, right? I have done all those 5 pillars. What more? So if somebody were to ask you this question, Asha, you think you can answer now? You have done the 5 pillars, right? What's next, man? What's next? Can you understand?
Yes.
So it's like it's something like that. So that's why that leads to the third worse than the previous case, that one to whom the evil of his conduct seems pleasing. He thinks that he and this is why you need that hadith. When you said that you are doing something good, right?
Mm.
I mean, how do you categorize yourself as being the best Muslim? Remember, many of us, I don't know whether maybe you have come across this hadith or not. Just to check with you, have you come across this hadith where the Prophet says many? I mean, in general, you have heard people say that I'm doing good, I'm doing good, or people claim to say that I'm a good Muslim. Okay, have you heard of this?
Yeah.
But then, without knowing, when you make that kind of, are you safe from your mouth? This is when you want to claim as being a good Muslim, you have to look at the hadith. Because the Prophet mentioned, a good Muslim is a Muslim that his mouth is safe. People are safe from the meaning. There's no backbiting. He doesn't know how to say bad about you and this and that. Okay. Secondly, is the hand.
Mm.
Right? Even
Okay.
neighbors. So this is what I meant by you need to, when you claim that you do good, you have to brought forth that it is coming from the Prophet ﷺ. It's not how you define it, right?
Right.
The third one, I didn't want to read the fourth one. So basically, I already explained to you uh, meaning of the types of action that will be scattered dust in the hereafter. Scary, isn't it?
So um, before you can or make a declaration that you are good based on the actions of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we have to know what's in the books that he has done
Correct.
based on his good deeds.
Yes, absolutely right.
Understand?
Because everything is written. Like I said just now, that if you are very fond of trying to get closer to Islam, and remember this is about Islam, right? Because Islam is about the practice. Iman is inside.
Yes.
No one knows. Any Tom, Dick, and Harry can claim that I am a believer. Okay, fine.
Mm.
That's what you say. That's why you have to use the Arabic word in order to confirm when a person say that he is submitting to Islam, then it has to be proven with three. Because Iman is defined as uttering with your tongue, believe with your heart, and then the actions with the body unconditionally. There's no condition. See, this is what I meant by, you see, when you say that you are, a Muslim also, or rather when you say that you have Iman, right? These are the three things that you need to check. Then you are truly having that Iman. You're truly having that faith because you utter. This is when you're doing the prayer and outside the prayer, right? You believe in your heart, that one cannot check, right? But the action can be seen. Meaning you try your very level best to shun away from all those things that is prohibited. And this is where it brings you to the book of Halal and Haram by Professor Yusuf al. So we are not exposed to many, as I told you, that in Islam, the subject is so vast. It's the domain of you want to be learning is like an ocean without a shore. It will never end. There's always new things.
Mm.
Like about many wife. Yeah, okay. I just want to give you an example. Many wife doesn't understand that nushus is normally applied to wife, but quite recent, there's a study say that nushus is also applied to men. Nushus means you are a disobedient wife. So when do you categorize a person as a disobedient wife or a disobedient husband, where you can say that okay, you have committed nushuz. Or sometimes for the men, they use the term they use. Many of us doesn't know this also. Right. I hope that answer your, I mean that clear your mind a little bit lah. I'm not that.
A little bit lah, but if
Huh?
yes, a little bit. It has helped a little bit, but yeah, alhamdulillah. But like you know, the more explanation you hear, the more you want to ask.
Yes, I understand.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we are on virtual, right? So that's why I get very frustrated sometimes. But what to do? You know, we have to balance, lah. Right?
We have to be grateful for every little that we have.
Yep. Yep.
Thank
So,
you, Ustaz.
any other question from anyone else? I don't want to hold you back. I think some of you already work, right? So I believe that it's already 10 past 10. So I don't want to hold you back too long in this session. But I do hope that you make time for tomorrow. It is a very interesting topic that we will be discussing. Silent means no. So let us close this session with prayer that we benefited from this session that I have presented to you. استغفر الله العظيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم إنا أعوذ بك من علم لا ينفع ومن قلب لا يخشع ومن نفس لا تشبع ومن دعوة لا يستجاب لها اللهم أغننا بالعلم وزينا بالحلم وأكرمنا بالتقوى جملنا بعافية يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم إنا نسألك الفهم النبيين وحفظ المرسلين وإلهام الملائكة المقربين اللهم افتح علينا فتح العارفين وفقهنا في الدين وعلمنا تأويل واهدنا إلى سبيل اللهم اخرجنا من ظلمات وحمي واكرمنا بنور فهمي اللهم افتح علينا ابواب فضلك ويسر علينا هدائنا برحمتك يا ارحم الراحمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر ان الانسان لفي خسر الا الذين امنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد والحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Thank you and good night to everybody.